Hi, I'm Gabe.
And I'm Kat.
And we're the Ghouls Next Door. Yeah, it is our 51st episode. So
that's so many.
Yeah, I hope
we're
you enjoyed.
officially on the second half of the lifespan.
The hill.
Yeah.
We went over the hill, and now we're on the other side of it. And the grass looks the same, to be honest. It's about exactly the same.
Yeah.
It's still spooky.
Yep.
It's still spooky grass.
Scary stuff is still happening.
Yeah. Well, we wanted to do something special because you heard a lot about us in the last 2 episodes because it's just a lot of us raving about our favorite things that are scary.
Yeah. So
and screaming about robot dads.
Big takeaway. The children's skin is leaves. No. And he always comes back. Yep. And then Gabe's takeaways is say yours.
Don't trust anyone because they're probably a murderer.
Yep.
That's just how it goes. So we're gonna do some fun instead, and so we decided to bring on JD.
That me.
Yeah.
Hey, what's up, y'all?
Yeah. So this 51st episode, we're going to be talking about horror comic books because we really like to take this time when we talk to people to dive into something that isn't traditionally looked at as horror. You know, sometimes it's overlooked with whether it's books, tattoos. What else have we talked about? Sex, like just things that people don't think about.
Women in horror,
blacks in horror.
Yeah.
Nightmares, all of it. We just talk about weird things.
Like to bring experts in, which we've classified you as. You may not.
Oh, finally.
Yeah, you may not consider yourself one, but you officially are.
I'll
take it.
You have been dubbed expert.
You can put it on your resume. Expert as told by the Ghouls. And specifically, why don't you tell us about yourself? So you have a podcast on horror.
I do. Yes. So, first of all, I'm an illustrator and a graphic designer. I do horror movie posters sometimes. I also have a little network of podcasts called the Cult Pop Network, CULTPOP, and we do the Cannibal Horror Cast, which is a horror movie podcast. Now, we haven't done one since Halloween 2018 hit, but eventually we will do more. We were going good for a while there, and then 2 of our people had babies. So it's been hard to get together. Stupid infants. So we do that, and we do the Spoiler Alert, which is a weekly comic book review show for whatever come out that week. And then we have Gutter Talk, which I do with Len, a.k.a. the Bat Tribble from the Black Tribbles, who you may know. So, yeah. Oh, and also I own a comic book store in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
So there's that.
Yeah. So, I mean, if we were going to have an expert, you're pretty much the closest thing we got.
Yeah, I am near knowledgeable.
Yeah. Yes. We've only ever had one other comic book shop owner as Ariel.
Ariel, hi.
Yeah.
She's lovely.
Yes.
She's great.
I have been wanting to talk about horror comics for a very long time because any horror medium that there is and that exists, I have indulged in. So I have plenty of horror comics. We have horror books. We have movies, obviously. Just like anything.
When we say we're going to do all the medias and we'd mostly do movies, now we're actually doing that. So
yeah, we've done video games. We've done board games.
Yeah.
New medium, new us. That's how it works.
New year, new us.
New medium, who dis?
Yeah,
exactly.
Exactly. Yeah, why don't we go into our experience with comic books? I mean, obviously you own a store, so tell us what that's all about.
Well, I've been an art director and I've been an illustrator and a graphic designer for so many years. And in the back of my brain meets the whole time has been that I wanted to eventually own a comic shop. Now, that was one of those dreams that may or may not ever happen, but I was just like, well, that'd be sort of cool.
Yeah.
And then I did it. So my wife helped me get here. She had a salon in a spot in Manayunk, and then she needed a bigger joint. And so she's like, why don't you just make your shop here? And I did that. So, and it's been going for about 3 years. And it's, knock on wood, going well.
Yeah.
Quickly, find some wood.
Yeah.
And but I've been reading comics and drawing for 30 odd years. So it's just always something that I've been passionate about, that I love. And now seems to be the greatest time to be a comic nerd because there's all sorts of stuff to get a hold of through all different, as you said, mediums. So
Absolutely.
media.
Yeah.
Medium would be someone who would contact the dead for me, right?
It's multiple meanings for media.
Okay.
Media, different ways to ingest this information. Absolutely. It's like cool now to like comics.
Nerds are
It's
cool.
great.
Finally.
It's it's kind of like the same way where some people just aren't readers, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's like the people who are readers are like, you get this opportunity to like have this whole other world, right? And then now you also get to like put that with like beautiful art, right? So you also are just like, there are times when I just like get stuck on like a page because I'm just like, this is so amazing. Just like trying to ingest every little piece of it. And I'm like, wait, what did I read? What is this part of the story?
It's always so neat to me when people, you know, you were just talking about the difference between being a reader and being a comic book reader and, you know, being both. But it's so interesting to me when novel readers sort of poo-poo the idea of comic books. And I think that has a lot to do with a lot of people think that it's only about superheroes.
Yeah.
And it's not horror or crime or thrillers or comedies or any of the other number of genres, the subgenres, I guess, that are actually involved. So they think it's just capes and tights and stuff. So I get that. But then to like enjoy novels and then go, okay, we got the words, but then we're going to give you some kick-ass art to look at too. And then they go, no, art, I don't want that. Like, what?
I don't want to look at pictures.
Yeah. Anyway.
I don't want my media supported by visuals. Like, I'll watch a movie. Moving pitches. Don't slow them down. One at a time. I don't think so. Absolutely. I would say there is like, unfortunately, because it is, and I guess the same thing goes for like certain books. There are certain stories where it's like, I'm sure that's a really great story, but I'm not going to read it because I can't get behind the writing style. Like it might just not be up my alley. And the same thing goes with certain comics. There are comics that I really like want to read because of the story, but I'm just like so put like off by the art where I'm just like, I can't, like, I want to get over it so bad. But there are other styles of art in comics that are just absolutely amazing and breathtaking. You're just like, wow, this is awesome.
That's the whole thing I like about comics. Like, I am not a reader. My brain will not let me. It's just like, oh, this is a lot. And I'm like, okay, I can't. But I love looking at the art for comics. So people always yell at me because I'm always just like skimming through and I'm like, I have no idea what's happening, but it looks really cool. And and it's like, because the font's really small, I can't read it. I'm just like, but the pictures are really nice. I kind of get what's happening. So like, I do not read comics, but I look at novels? Them. Novels, it will take me 3 months to read like a short book.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm a pretty
it takes me.
Paced out reader.
Yeah, it's just like a memory thing.
Yeah, horror, and I think what I find is really interesting about horror comics specifically is that we can bypass some of like, not the laws, because there are laws for comics as well, but you can get away with a lot more. And not just like, okay, there's more graphic violence, but there's like more, like there's heavier content or topics and things, and like you can do more with a fictional like drawn body than you can like on a screen, right? Although we've seen some things. We watched Tusk. We know what you can do with a body.
Oh, jeez.
So,
that's the worst
but
thing.
I feel like I would have gotten a lot more out of it if that was a comic. But I feel like there's a lot of things.
A little less disturbing because you're like, oh, that's not that guy.
Separated
I know
from it
New Girl
in a way. You can appreciate it as art, right?
Person.
Yeah.
Yes.
Instead
Justin
of being like, Instead of like looking and being like, this is a person, this is happening. It's like, this is really graphic art that's happening to us. Like, one of the examples of the differences is one of the first like horror comics I read was Walking Dead, like way back, when, and I remember like reading them and when the show first came out, like I tried to read, I was like, this is awful. I can't do this show.
Oh, you didn't like the show?
I didn't like the show the first time I watched it. And I just was like, it felt like, almost like a PG version because I've loved
so much awful stuff happens in the comics.
Love how unsafe you feel in the comics, like just from the beginning. Like no one is safe, and there's always like, and what I think is great about the comics is like the page turners. Like there's like one scene, spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't read it, where these two twins get murdered, these twin girls. And it's like this scene where you literally flip the page and it's like the whole page is just the girls like beheaded.
Yeah.
But it's like before that you're like, oh no, where are the girls? And you flip and then there they are.
The girls.
Yeah. Yep. So it's that itself is like great work of suspense.
Were they children twins?
Yeah.
Yeah. So in comics you could kill children more easily than in TV shows. I feel like
that's
in
a
general.
Pet Cemetery.
Well, yeah, that's
and
real.
Walking Dead.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
they
know,
did that too with the two
in
sisters. That
the
I actually had to stop it.
I feel like in the show they don't do as much.
No, they
crazy.
still do. They definitely have gotten better. And it was like the first season was very like PG, and that's what I remember. And at the time I was like catching up to the series the comics. And I remember at the time, like when the show had come out and it was like kind of watered down, I was like, oh man, I like said to my boyfriend at the time, like, I hope they don't water down the comic to like get the same audience as like the show.
Nope.
And then literally the next book that I read was Glenn's death.
Oh God.
And
his was so bad.
Yeah, so bad. And my boyfriend at the time looks at me and he's just like, are you happy?
Yeah.
Like, look what you did.
Look what you've done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You killed Glenn.
I was working at a comic shop when that came out, and I was sitting there just eating my lunch, and I'm like, I'm just going to sit and read this. I had to stop eating my food because it was so nauseating.
Yeah, that one I actually hadn't picked it up there was months before I picked it up again after that because my heart was broken. It was too much emotion because he was like the one who stuck around and like all through that, and you were just like, you can't have anything, can't be happy.
Yeah, that was brutal juice. That was terrible.
Yeah, and that's what's fun about these comics.
The problem that I run into with comics, I find that a lot of them aren't as effective because of the medium and sort of the problems that you run into when it comes to things like score. So when you're watching a movie, watching a horror film, they do so much with the score that to make you tense and uncomfortable and sort of
They tell you how to feel.
Yeah. And you kind of miss that with comics. So like there was a book called Witches by Jock and Scott Snyder. And they did an interesting thing. Instead of a score, they muddied up the art in a certain way to make looking at it uncomfortable. So that sort of served as a visual score for the book. It was really cool. But anyway.
I love people's
Well, that's kind of like there's like a
That's cool.
web comic app, and there's a comic that I read on there. That's not
Is this a
necessarily
colorful
horror.
one?
There's a colorful one, but there's The Devil Was a Handsome Man, and it's like this digital comic where it's designed for like a phone or a device.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
you like scroll up and just watch it. But there's like one of the, I guess, editions or whatever at the beginning it says like turn on your volume, and so as you're scrolling, this like soundtrack comes through, like your phone is like, whoa.
That is so sad.
That's
was
amazing.
so good, yeah.
Is that on Webtoon?
Yes.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, facts. We tell you facts. All the facts. Here facts. Still facts. About that spooky stuff. Yeah, spooky stuff.
So we're talking about horror comics, and I think what's kind of interesting about comics specifically in relation to the horror genre is that they kind of started in a similar fashion as like the Penny Dreadfuls. So like hearing those like old little like magazines that had like vampires and tales of like, don't do science because you're playing God, it's bad. Like those things are like, don't like cheat on your husband because you'll be cursed or something. But like, yeah, like the pulp, like fiction type.
Do you mean like the
just like
EC horror, like the Tales from the Crypt? And,
yeah, exactly.
Vault
yeah,
of
like,
Horror and
just like these little
Classics.
tales. Yeah, exactly. And so they like started that way, and so they've been here for a long time. And I think that's what people forget. Is that they've been here forever. In the early 20th century, pulp magazines developed the horror subgenre Weird Menace, which featured sadistic villains and graphic scenes of torture and brutality. The first such title by popular publications, Dime Mystery, began as a straight crime fiction magazine. Right, so it's just like it was just another opportunity to show horrific things where otherwise we weren't able to show those things. Like this is around the same time where like this is before having like Dracula on screen, right? And before having like the horror of seduction that Dracula would have been, or the horror of like innocence that you get from Frankenstein. You just have like ways to get away with kind of scary things.
I'm sorry.
Scary,
I
really.
thought I was jumping ahead with the EC horror stuff.
Yeah.
This is like the 50s and 60s.
Yeah, this is
You're
so. This is the
way
this is
back.
like the renaissance
Yes.
of horror, because what
Yes.
happened was at some point, similar to like today with video games and how they're getting a bad rap, where they're like children are violent because they play video games. That's what comics were labeled as, and so at one point they were like not like specifically banned, but it was like a lot of publications stopped because they were like, this is like, we're not getting any representation. Like parents are mad because maybe their kids are violent. Maybe it's because we're at war all the time. Maybe it's because they're angry and they don't get any love.
It's those books.
Maybe it's because children should be seen and not heard. I don't know. Oh no, it's the comics. And so when they came back, that's when we got things like the Vault of Horror.
Gotcha.
So it was like, when that was happening, it was kind of like the resurgence of horror itself, because we took the old stories like Mary Shelley or Edgar Allan Poe, or even like Lovecraft, and like took it and put it on the screen and put it back in books. And it was just like another way that we were doing that, was to see how you can get away with it in comic form. So there are like regulations that came about with that so that we could have horror in comics. But I still feel like, similar to the way I feel about certain foreign horror films, is that they can just get away with more than American cinema.
That's true.
Just like there are just things they don't
Those
have
Germans.
the same rules.
Yeah.
Germans, Koreans, don't get me
Forget
started.
about it.
Yeah, French, all of them. South American, it's just literally anywhere that's not here, or probably Canada. I feel like Canada is probably nice.
American Mary was Canadian.
Oh, that's true.
That was a good one.
Yeah. That was, but I guess it was kind of gruesome.
There
It
was,
was fairly gruesome.
you saw him completely like dismembered, hanging from like meat hooks.
Yeah, but you didn't see it happening. Is what like that's what,
That's
like
fair.
with Korean horror films, like you see it happening.
There's little left to the imagination.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With,
You're like,
like,
this is
yeah.
just what this
American,
is the
we
awful.
we get cut to black,
Use
and then
your
we come
brain
back, and it
to
has
discover
happened.
the
Right, yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like with comics, you can say more because you're drawing it. You can like show like hallucinations in a more beautiful tapestry than just being like just like, I don't know, what is that one movie with the drugs and Jared Leto?
I have absolutely no idea.
The Drugs and Jared Leto.
Yeah.
That's the movie.
It
It's
sounds like
excellent.
a
Everyone
good
should
movie
watch it.
title. I don't know what that is though.
It's Jennifer Connelly in it.
Oh, it's Requiem for a Dream.
Like
There
how
we
they
go.
showed
It's so good.
drug hallucinations, right?
Yeah.
But like even better than that.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
although you would be missing the soundtrack, which is like
Which
one
is
of the
also pretty
phenomenal
good,
parts
yeah.
of Requiem for a Dream. So I definitely get that. Maybe just play like really spooky music. Like I always put a spooky soundtrack when we play Arkham Horror, because I'm
Yeah,
like,
same.
let's get
Well,
in
when
it.
we do,
Yeah, it's like you can do it. You just got to do it, though. You got to put it on yourself.
you can do it. You just got to do it. The Nike swoosh.
That's the catchphrase.
Yeah, just keep do it if you want to
Just
do
do
it.
the thing that you said you were going to want to do. I should make
I've
shirts.
learned something today. I'm a new man.
Hey, internet guys, listen
Do
to
the
our...
thing you want to do.
Listen, if there's a thing you want to do, why don't you just do that thing?
Yeah.
.com.
You know what? You know what I'm good for? Saying words that don't make sense but kind of do.
It's a good thing you have a
kind of-
microphone
That's
Yeah,
to
that's
say them
perfect.
into.
So we can
I am
put it out there
comic
to the
relief.
world.
Yeah.
It's just like, if you're stressed, stop.
Yeah.
If
Stand
you're
in an
worried
open
about
doorway.
it, stop being that.
Say hello to
Say
the
hello
sun.
to the sun.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I feel like also they tried to make comics seem like a villainous thing in the M. Night Shyamalan movie Unbreakable.
Unbreakable.
Because they made it seem like the reason
Oh,
he
because he
decided
was
to
the
become a
bad guy.
villain is because he read a bunch of superhero comics as a
And
kid.
he was like, I'm clearly the villain because I'm the most breakable.
Yeah. But I feel like they
guess.
tried to like make it seem like comics were the cause of that. Like
Yeah.
that's the message I took away. I was like,
That's what you
comics
took?
make you a villain.
Oh, I never got that out of it. I seem to have a love of comic books. It's just that
Well, yeah, but that he turned himself into
Yeah.
a villain
Yeah.
because
Well,
like
his belief
of
was
reading
definitely
it.
stemmed from comics. But then now it's different now, I guess. I mean, it has a whole end.
Yeah.
Now you can bend metal because trauma happened.
Yes.
Ah, yes.
You can be split, and then you're put into glass, and you're still the most breakable.
These are the plots of the movies. You don't have to watch them. That's the whole thing.
you're welcome.
Yeah.
Yes.
Good night.
I also have the 13 Essential Horror Comics, which we can debate whether or not these are true or not.
Oh, I'm down.
Yeah, and then we can just say what ours are. That
So,
works.
oh, Are we supposed to just say ours or
No,
can I? All right, cool.
no, I'm saying we
do
can do
it.
both.
So the number 13 is Fatale, 2012 to 2014 by Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips. Ah, you know, yes.
Told you, expert.
Yeah, this is why you have the title.
It's got some Lovecraftian horror elements to it. So if you're into like tentacles doing stuff,
I am.
We sure are.
spooky elder gods.
Love it. It's our favorite thing.
Yeah, no.
I just bought a comic called Cthulhuese. And
Cute.
it's really adorable. It's actually really sweet. It has a very good ending of just like, go where people accept you and they'll love you.
If there's a thing you want to do,
Beauties.
just do the thing.
Do the thing. And that's-
Cthulhuese.
Yes.
Also, like, beauty is in the eye of the beholder kind of thing, where if like you go somewhere where
But it'd be
everyone
like
looks
a-
like
it'd be
you,
an
then
actual
it's
beholder.
cool, guys.
The monster with the tentacles in the eye is
Yeah.
a behold. It's
Yep.
okay. Speaking out about Cthulhu monsters.
Yeah, so as an aside, Gabe totally is obsessed with Cthulhu. She recently
Lovecraft.
requested fan fiction of like a romance between a human and a
Romantic
Cthulhian
fan
monster.
fiction of
Yeah.
me and
I
Cthulhu.
think between you,
Yeah.
not
I-
just a human, because
yeah.
that's just called porn. That's
It's
just called hentai.
yeah,
Hentai? Yeah, it's just a
hentai.
bunch of
No,
tentacle porn.
or just creepypasta.
Yeah.
There's a lot on there.
Yeah.
No, but I had a one drawn up specifically for me. It was the best
Oh, it's drawn?
Valentine's present. It's not drawn, but
Oh.
like written.
Written up.
But
Okay.
it's really
Yeah,
funny.
for her
It's
birthday
very
card
funny.
this year, I made a picture, like because I draw also, and I drew her with Cthulhu hugging, and it said, "Fiend gluey, me glue enough, Cthulhu something," like 'cause that's like the
Something
summoning
right.
thing, and then it was like romance at the end of
Yeah.
it. I don't remember
And
what
he's
I
wearing
wrote. but
khaki pants.
He's wearing
'cause I think
khaki
that's
pants.
important that
Oh,
he's a
yeah.
businessman.
He's a businessman Cthulhu, so
So
that's the
cute.
kind of thing
Middle
we're falling in
management
love with.
Cthulhu.
yeah.
Yeah, so
Comes home
that's
to
something
me.
we're trying to make.
Cthulhu.
You got fan fiction of Gabe in love with Cthulhu, and then I'm
So
drawing it somehow.
If there's any comics on this list that say Cthulhu or Elder Gods or Lovecraftian inspired, which is why Lock and Key wraps me right up in there. I haven't seen a single tentacle, but I'm waiting.
No, there's not.
I'm waiting.
Yeah, I'm
Oh
like,
my
I
goodness.
believe no. But I still get giddy whenever someone even mentions like Lovecraft or Massachusetts or fish people
Or just Massachusetts.
yeah,
You know what I'm real into?
Mass.
Just into it. Mass period. Thanks.
Yeah.
What's number 12?
I was trying to make sure that the list wasn't going crazy. So what it says after Fatale is Afterlife with Archie, 2013 to present, by Roberto.
Sacasa Guerra? Something
Yep.
like that?
Yep.
Yep, and Francesco
Francavilla.
Francavilla.
Francavilla. Yep.
Yes.
Francesco Francavilla. Yeah.
Names.
Yes.
Excellent.
They have them.
Yeah. Yes,
They were
like,
named them.
like most people.
So
do.
yeah, Afterlife with Archie. For anyone who's a fan who's listening to the show of Riverdale, that's basically that show. And a lot of people don't know this, which surprised me. Riverdale is based on a comic book called Archie that's been going for decades and decades. And so they've actually done a really cool thing, the Archie comics people, which is they start to use their characters in different genres. So they'll take Archie versus the Predator.
What?
That's awesome.
But so there's a difference between that and this, in that Archie versus the Predator is they took the Archie characters in their super cutesy 1960s drawing style and then introduced a Predator into it. Afterlife with Archie, Vampironica, Jughead the Hunger, The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina are all straight up legitimate horror stories that just happen to involve these characters.
Yeah.
So they're like, as opposed to being Archie with horror, this is horror with Archie.
That's really
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's like the Blossoms 666 I saw.
Oh, I haven't even seen that yet.
Yeah, there's like a new one, Blossom 666,
Nice.
about the blossoms from there. And I was like, I just need this whole franchise of like
Yeah.
horror and Archie happening. I'm here for it.
So I will say I'm actually like significantly impressed that like we did not even kind of tell you these ahead of time and you just literally know everything about them. So you are 100% an
That
expert.
Oh, dope.
Yeah.
I've done it.
Yeah,
Honey, I've
that's
done
pretty
it.
cool.
My wife's down the hall. I'm just yelling at her. I need to be proud of something.
Yeah.
What's next?
Number 11 is Tomb of Dracula, 1972 to 1979 by Marv Wolfman and Gene Colan.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a classic Marvel comics. Because back in the day, what Marvel wasn't always just superheroes, capes and tights, and what have you. They had a whole little subdivision of horror stuff. That's where we got characters like Blade,
Oh, nice.
who probably arguably started the whole renaissance of adult comic book movies.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and he's making his comeback. I hear they're talking to him again about bringing back Blade.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I did hear that. I've actually mentioned Blade like 5 times this month, and just
Yeah, you
started.
have. I was just
It's
thinking
super
that like
weird. I
we've
have
talked
mentioned
about
I
it
haven't
way more
mentioned
than I
Blade
guess.
5 times this month,
It's
so that's
super weird.
impressive.
I do not know why, but he's just been here. It's been in my brain.
I just always thought it was so funny at the end, the last line, like his big line at the end of Blade 1 is like, some mother lovers are always trying to ice skate uphill, except replace lovers with the other word. And I remember even as a kid walking out of that theater, like, what does that, what, of all of the cool things to say while you're killing your villain, really? And apparently Wesley Snipes just made that up on the spot. And they're like, well, I guess we'll keep it. He's
Amazing.
Wesley Snipes.
There's so many of this.
Yeah.
Wesley Snipes is in jail in my hometown. So
Fun.
for tax evasion, I think.
Excellent.
Great. He's like right around the corner.
Cool. 10 is Hellboy. So
Nice. Of course.
obviously,
course.
1993 to 2016, Mike Mignola.
Mike Mignola, yeah, he's been doing
I
it.
said it wrong, but
And
yes.
there's also another book to go along with it called BPRD, which is actually, I think, is a better book. But Mike Mignola's art is deceptively simple looking. If you go to flip through a Hellboy book, which
you
you'll
do
see a
have
stack right there,
actually.
it looks very simple, but I dare you to try and replicate it. It's very
Yeah.
difficult.
That's awesome.
But he's got such a cool style. And he's got a 3rd movie coming out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yep.
saw.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about it. We'll see.
Yeah, me
I
neither.
don't know either, but we'll see. Yeah,
How you gonna
as
do
you
the
said.
armor like that?
But have you read any of the Hellboy books, Gabe?
I have not.
Cthulhu out the wazoo.
What?
He's constantly punching tentacles. He's like a big old tentacle puncher. You need to get on some Hellboy, son.
Tentacle puncher. That's gonna
Yeah.
be my new
Yeah.
name.
Twitter handle.
Yeah.
Yeah,
At
100%.
tentacle puncher.
Yeah.
But you love the tentacles. You
Feminazi.
don't want to.
Tentacle puncher.
You don't want to punch them. You like them. They're your favorite.
As long as they're behaving.
That's fair. All right, that's
Those
real.
rules.
Keep your tentacles to yourself
yeah.
unless I
Yeah.
request them.
Consent first.
Yeah.
Tentacles later.
That's
Excellent.
amazing.
That's perfect.
Consent first, testicle, no,
As well.
Either way. Either
Both
way.
of those are
all are
absolutely
welcome.
cool.
Later.
That's
Yeah.
amazing. I'm sorry, continue.
Number 9, Lock and Key, which
Ooh, we're going to talk
we're
about
gonna
that.
talk about it.
by Joe Hill and Gabriel Rodriguez.
Yes.
So we'll talk about that later. So I guess we don't want to talk
we
about
can.
it now.
We'll
We'll
stay
be like,
tuned.
"Shh, it's okay."
Foreshadowing.
So we were correct
Yeah.
in picking it.
Number 8, Hellblazer, 1988 to 2013.
300 issues. John Constantine had his own book.
Yeah.
Now, do you guys know Hellblazer? John
You know,
Constantine?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't, but
Oh,
I
well.
know most things. So
So John Constantine is a character in the DC universe. He was first created in Swamp Thing, written by Alan Moore, and then he was so popular he got his own 300 issue run.
Wow.
And he's basically a real D-bag.
Yeah.
He lives in London. He's a practicing magician. He is constantly thwarting demons and what have you. And he's just a terrible person who just sometimes does the right thing.
yeah.
And he had a movie starring Keanu Reeves,
Yep.
which was cute. They tried.
Yeah, it was something.
cute.
It was
It was
something.
adorable.
And, then
And
was
Rachel
the woman-
Weisz.
Yeah.
And then
Mummy.
he had his own TV show starring Matt Ryan on the WB, whatever that thing is called now,
think-
CW,
yeah.
whatever it's called.
Yeah.
CW is current, yeah.
Whatever the kids are talking about these days. And so he had a 1 season, and that fell by the wayside. And then he just had an animated movie come out from DC Comics, and that was really good.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
read him when he's with Justice League Dark. Because I just really love Zatanna. And then I was like,
getting
more
ready to say,
magicians.
yeah.
I'm here.
Excellent. Yes. Number
Excellent.
7 is Preacher, 1995 to
Excellent.
2000. Garth Ennis and Stephen Dillon.
Oh my God. That is mine. I wish that I don't consider that a horror book. So when we were corresponding back and forth about what we would talk about, had I known that this was considered a
Preacher
horror comic,
classified,
it is my favorite piece of anything ever.
Oh.
I love Preacher up and down the block.
Have
yeah,
you
that's
watched the
great.
show?
Yeah.
I haven't watched it.
Eh.
But I do like
It's
the
cute.
actor because of
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.? Or no,
because
Peggy
of
Carter.
no the guy who's the
Preacher.
demon.
The demon?
Am
The
I trying-
vampire?
Vampire maybe?
Cassidy?
Yes.
Yes.
In what is it called? Misfits.
Yes.
Yes. And so I was like,
See,
oh, I
he's
like
an
his
expert.
face.
He knows everything.
He knows all the things. Exactly.
He literally knows all the things.
Yeah,
It's
so-
crazy.
If you haven't
Just-
read
yeah.
Preacher, holy cats.
It's definitely on my list. Just because Garth Ennis, and I was like, I feel like I shouldn't have a horror podcast if I don't.
No Garth
talk about
Ennis?
some- Yeah, if I'm not like representing.
That book you guys picked up a little couple minutes ago, A Walk Through Hell, is also another Garth Ennis drawing.
Oh, very
brilliant.
cool. Oh, yeah, I like
That'll be
the
on our
art.
list.
I was looking at it. Sandman, number 6.
Neil Gaiman's.
1989 to 1996. Neil Gaiman. And some of the greatest dream makers in comics. That's what it
Yeah.
says.
Neil, yes.
He didn't really have a ongoing artist, so it was a bunch of different people
Yeah.
drawing it.
Oh, okay. Well, that's really fun, though. I kind of like it when the art style switches up every once in a while.
Yeah.
I like it
Like, not
sometimes.
like always. Yeah, it depends. But I've seen like comics where it's like every issue is like a different kind of art style. And I find that really fun. Because then you don't have to commit to it. If you don't like it, then it's not going to be there anymore. But like if you do like it, it's like, oh, wow, this is really
Yeah.
cool.
I like it unless there's certain circumstances where it had to change, and then you're sad because why is the world like this? But yeah, Sandman I have not read, but I love Neil Gaiman. So
I have friends who they want me to read Sandman, and they keep trying to make me, and I'm 3 volumes in. It's a 9-volume run, and I'm 3 volumes in, and I still don't care.
oh no,
Yeah. Same publisher as Preacher and Hellblazer.
oh well, then they know good stuff.
yeah.
Maybe they
Apparently.
made this article.
DC
Yeah.
had a DC Comics had their own imprint more for adult and horror books that started in the 80s, and that's where you got things like Swamp Thing, Hellblazer, John Constantine, Sandman, and what was the other one we just said? Preacher.
Preacher, yes.
That's awesome.
Very cool.
Yeah, I love Neil Gaiman. So I just want to learn more about death. Is my thing.
Death is great.
Yeah.
That's my favorite stuff out of the Sandman stuff. It's the only things I really care about. There's a character called Death.
Death is great.
I literally
She-
was just
she's-
like, I had no, I like assumed you were talking about a comic, but it like just sounded very much like you were just
I
like
just really
death.
wanna
I just
know
really
what
want to
death
learn
is.
more
Oh,
about
sure
death.
can't wait for the cold
Hey.
embrace of the Reaper.
You wanna do it? Just do
Anyone
it.
want
Do
to
it.
die?
If you want to die,
You've
no,
come here.
Don't.
You've come to the right place.
Don't.
No.
Please call.
I've
and
got a
ask
murder
for help.
basement.
We do.
We
have
we
that.
also have a murder basement.
Oh,
That's where all of our guests
All the
go.
cool kids.
You made
You
us
live
come
there
here,
now.
so
No, he's
you're
still
going
in
into
there.
my murder basement.
We can't do that.
we have
I
we
think
have
you're still in
murder
our
basement
basement.
people to feed.
Well, when
We
we have
can't
live
leave
shows,
them.
our live audience is still in the basement, so he's also in the basement. It's just the way the
All
rules
right,
are.
so we just like change basements every
It's
once in a
fine.
while.
We'll
That's
swap.
cool. Yeah,
That's
that's
fine.
awesome. 5 is From Hell, 1989 to 1992. Alan Moore and Eddie Campbell.
Alan Moore.
About Jack the Ripper.
All
They
right,
made a
excellent.
movie out of it,
cool.
starring the guy who's not great anymore. That other canceled fella, Johnny Depp.
Oh, that makes sense.
Oh, I don't know what
course.
he did. I'm not up to date
It'll
in pop
happen.
culture.
That's okay.
We gotta.
I didn't care
It's for the
much in the
best.
first place.
Gotta go through these.
4 is Creepy, 1964 to 1983, and Eerie, 1966 to 1983. So apparently they have both there.
Those are-
and it's by so many madmen,
It's
lunatics,
Comics.
and mad scientists.
It's a bunch of anthology magazines.
Oh, excellent. Okay, so that makes
That's
a
what
lot
we
of
were
Modern
talking
sense.
like
about
Vault
early.
of Horror, Tales from the Crypt, so on and so
Yeah.
forth.
Number
Nice.
3, obviously, The Walking Dead, 2003 to present. It's obviously a horror comic
Yeah.
that people care about and talk about. By Robert Kirkman, Tony Moore, and Charlie Adlard.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I think it's just people really dig it, and it is good. I think it really is challenging in a lot of ways. I tried to read his newer one. What is it?
Oblivion Song,
No,
Gideon
wait,
Falls.
no.
Oh, that's Jeff Lemire. Ooh, the one about the exorcism.
Yes, yeah. I read like 2 of them, and then I was like kind of bored.
Yeah,
It kind of
Samesies.
fell like down, and then I read like Revival instead and got hooked on that.
that one's
'cause
good.
That was fun. Yeah.
yeah.
I was like, this is a different like people come back from the dead. It's
Fun.
still fun. Yeah.
Yeah. 2 is Swamp Thing, 1973 to present. So it's
Outcast.
so many horrific stops in between. And there's a lot of names. It's by a lot of people.
Yeah.
Should I
Well,
name
if it's
all
been,
of them?
it's still happening.
Len Wein, Bernie Wrightson, Nestor, these are fun names, Redondo, Martin Pascoe, Alan Moore, John Tottleben, Stephen Bissett, Rick Veitch, Nancy A. Collins, Mark Miller, Brian K. Vaughan, Andy Diggle.
I'm sorry, what book is this?
This
Swamp
is
Thing.
Swamp Thing.
Oh, Swamp Thing.
Scott
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Snyder and holy crap, so many more is what it
Yeah.
says. So
Yeah.
lots of people. Lots
I've
of people
never
did the
read
things.
the original Swamp, or not original, but the Swamp Thing by Alan Moore, which is like the seminal run of Swamp Thing.
Yeah, I haven't read them.
I need to do it.
I think I've read like the newer one just because it was like because he ties into other ones, so it's just like, oh, let me see what he's doing because he's applicable now. Like,
Yeah.
what's
sorry.
number one?
The
Oh.
Outcast was the name of the series.
that's the name of
That's
the
why I
one,
shouted
yes.
Outcast in the middle of you. It
Oh,
finally
it
hit my
is,
brain.
yeah, with a K, yeah.
My brain finally caught up.
Outcast.
Go
There
ahead.
you go. Cool.
What's number
one?
one?
Is Tales from the Crypt,
Nice.
Vault of Horror, which we have right here, and Haunt of Fear, 1950 to 1955, by many masters of blood-curdling mayhem.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's the EC stuff that I was talking about, the early horror comics. That's what spawned Seduction of the Innocent, which was a novel that made it seem like these horror comics are making kids evil, and that's why they had to go. I think there was a whole Senate hearing and all that other stuff, and that
so wild. Okay.
not felicitated. That's not a
Facilitated.
word. Facilitated the need for the comic book, the Comics Code Authority
Yes.
that they were using from then up until about 10 years ago. They finally decided, yeah, we don't need this. We can just do this ourselves. So, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
The more you know.
And it's
Yeah.
my favorite horror TV show of all time
Yeah.
from the HBO series, Tales from the Crypt.
Tales from the Crypt gave me lots of nightmares when I was younger because I would stay up and watch it even though I was afraid of everything. It's really honestly ironic that I have a horror podcast because I was afraid of everything.
I feel like I've seen it.
Yeah, I would stay up and watch it, and then I would like have nightmares. And there's like one where I like woke up my mom because I was so scared, and she's like, "Well, what did you dream about?" And I told her, and she was like, "That was the episode of Tales from the Crypt that was on tonight," and I was also watching it. And so she's
Yeah.
like, "I caught you," and I was like, "Damn."
Ooh,
I was
you
like,
got
"But
me.
I'm still scared."
Yeah.
So you still tell
Yeah,
me.
I need your support now, please. Thanks. If you
Yeah,
can yell at me about
okay.
this tomorrow.
I definitely watched it with my stepdad.
So
Yeah.
I
good.
guarantee that's
yeah,
something
they're
that we
all
watched.
different, and they all were like,
They all had different
Spooky.
directors and like
Yeah.
big name actors of the time, like Christopher Reeve.
I would
and
100% watch this. I loved
It's
that
so
show.
good. You
Yeah.
can get them on DVD. They sell them in like
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
only 4
That's
volumes.
like a part of my brain that just forgot stuff
there's
happened.
so much
fun.
I was just
And you had the
that
Crypt
loved
Keeper.
that show.
"Yeah, we're gonna watch."
And he was the
some-
creepy guy.
We're
and he
gonna
would,
watch some
he would
this
be like,
Thursday.
"This is the story,"
He
and
had
then he would like,
puns.
yeah,
Yeah.
he had puns.
He always had
You're so
puns.
He
right.
had puns.
I
He was
love
the
that show.
funniest.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was great.
Yeah.
I totally
That's a good
forgot that I
list.
ever watched that.
It
ever.
is, yeah, it is a good list. And we're going to jump into 2 for our film section, which is not going to be about films because that's not what
But
today
enjoy
is.
the interlude that makes you think we are.
Yeah, film. Yeah, films. We watch some films. Now let's talk about those films. And all that spooky stuff. And all that spooky stuff.
So we're not talking about films. We lied to you just now. I'm sorry. Please forgive me.
Sorry, not sorry.
Okay. All right.
I do not
That
apologize.
reminds me of this film I saw the other day. Do you want to talk about it?
No.
Oh, okay. Fine.
Another time.
Dang it.
But today we're going to talk about 2 comics specifically. So one I'm happy we're talking about. It was not on our list, but it is relative. I thought I heard something. Is Harrow County, which is from 2015 2018, and it's one of the more recent horror comics that I like got really into. Mostly because of the art style itself, but
Yeah, it's really cool art. I absolutely love
Tyler
it as well.
Crook.
yes,
He hand paints every page.
That's amazing.
He's a monster.
yeah.
No,
I
it's
would say
beautiful. I absolutely
in
love
the back of
Do
like
this.
the first volume when you get to the and then he shows you like his work style and like the different ways he was going to do it. That's what really hooked me because I was just like, he has written out what the story is, but then he has like this art and you're like, all right, I'm sold. It's too beautiful for words. So for anyone who hasn't read Harrow County, let me tell you what it's about. So Emmy always knew that the deep, dark woods surrounding her home crawled with ghosts, goblins, and zombies. But on the eve of her 18th birthday, she learns that she is connected to these creatures and to the land itself in a way she never imagined. And it's created by Cullen Bunn and Tyler Crook. Yeah, so that's the gist.
I just found this year. It's been coming out from Dark Horse for many, many years, and the cover of the first volume always grabbed my attention. Basically, we've got a chest of drawers. Is that what you would call that?
Yeah.
Like a bureau, right?
Yeah.
From your bedroom. And coming out of the bottom drawer in that bureau is a skin without anything inside it, like a hand.
Yeah,
like
it's like a skin.
it's a
skinned
hand.
person.
Yeah, so it's just the skin with no innards.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, that looks spooky. Anyway, I'm going about the rest of my life and not worry about it. So it took me a while to get to it. And I just read volume 1, I guess a couple months ago. And I 100% want to read the rest. I want to say there's 8 or 9 volumes. But I'm so behind on everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
I actually I own 6 of the volumes, but I have only read, I think, 4 because it's I buy them because I see them and I'm like, this is a part of the thing I like and I want to support it. And it actually is coming to a natural end. They decided to finish it, which is nice. I love when that happens. I'm a big fan of people just letting things end and they can choose how it does that. But it's really beautiful. It's all watercolor art and it really has this Southern Gothic feel to it as well. Which really puts you in. So you might not have a soundtrack, but you definitely feel the eeriness and the grunginess of where she is, but it's also endearing. So it's kind of a one of those coming of age young girl potentially could turn monstrous woman because she definitely has that history in the story. And what you I don't want to spoil too much because I want people to read them. But she really discovers things about herself that in her closeness to this world and how deep that goes. And her interaction with the haints is what they call them,
which is a word I've never heard before.
Me either. But I think it's just it might be a Southern thing.
Yeah, it's just a spooky ghost thing, right? A haint is HAINTS.
I literally thought it said haunts.
Yes.
I literally, my mind auto-corrected what it said on the front to haunts instead of haints.
Countless haints.
It definitely is essentially that. It's a catch-all word for a monster or supernatural being. So there's fiery skeletons, which the art for those are so cool.
They're gorgeous.
Yeah, there's a Black Phillip type guy.
From The Vitch.
Yes,
Vivitch, yep.
yes, Vivitch.
Live deliciously.
Yeah, there's
a spooky doctor guy.
Yeah, so it's just it's really cool, and just the fact that she is tempted to be the classic monstrous woman that's evil, right? But she's not, and she her power essentially is being compassionate to these monsters and essentially making them better or
the power
understanding
of empathy.
them. Yeah, exactly. The power of empathy is what we talk.
The spooky power of friendship.
Yes, but just talking down to these monsters and being hey, I get what you're going through. It's hard out here when you don't have skin, or you're just a muscle boy because your skin is in my house hanging out, being my friend.
You crazy kid? Why I got your skin? What are you doing? You're just leaving your skin over here, you big stupid.
Yeah, just being my friend.
Come get this skin. We'll be buddies.
And not even. He's just nope, that's just not how it goes. I'm just your friend. Yeah. She just puts him in a suitcase. She just folds his skin in a suitcase and runs off. It's so crazy.
Yeah.
That is what's happening, but it's also kind of a cute story. And her best friend who's this is crazy. Everything you're saying is crazy. I need some time. She's always just you need to give me some time to catch up to where the story is right now. And that's kind of how you are as a reader. So it's just it's done really wonderfully.
It feels I would say a Steven Spielberg horror movie. Does that make sense? Because it's got some interesting visuals to it. It's got some imagery that's a little, spooky and stuff, but it's even the gross things aren't it's not Crossed. So for anybody who doesn't know, Crossed is another book by Garth Ennis. He's one of the writers of it. And that is as horrible can be. You could never make a movie out of it because it's just all of the worst things you've ever heard of. But this has a kind of a quaint, cutesy style to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, kind of like E.T., or you take something that could be perceived as frightening, an E.T. is frightening to some children, and then you're just making it endearing and
instead of a cute alien, it's a skinless boy.
Yeah,
and then his skin suit.
Yeah, hasn't encountered that?
Yeah, it's a tale as old as time. Is what it is.
Exactly.
Yes, we've all been there.
Yeah,
you all have that best friend who is skin.
You're where's your skin, bruh?
And also muscle times.
And
also muscle times. Yeah.
Best friends.
Yeah, I highly recommend it for anyone. It's underrated, I think, at best. And her growth, just like in discovering herself and finding her own empowerment, is really beautiful. It's like we live for monstrous women, and she's doing it. Yeah, power of empathy, man. Superpower 101. The other thing we're going to talk about is Lock and Key. So this took place from 2008 to 2012. And it is created by Joe Hill and Gabriel Rodriguez. I love Joe Hill. Significantly more than his father. We'll have words about it later this year. We're going to be talking about Stephen King, and I think I'm going to also talk about Joe Hill. We'll have like 2 episodes, but I think Joe's really good at telling stories that are horror without being gratuitous. That I would find Stephen King can be sometimes.
Oh yeah.
It's just like, there's a lot of things that are like, that wasn't necessary, Stephen.
We read it.
We've read it, and that's all that needs to be said.
Yeah.
Whereas Joe Hill, sometimes he doesn't even write scary things. It's just like a nice tale about a dad trying to understand his son, and I'm like, this is beautiful, Joe. You're amazing. But he's always, what's really interesting about his is like, he does really well with supernatural things, and it's kind of feels kid-like in my opinion sometimes. Like Horns felt like kind of kid-like.
I loved Horns.
Yeah. Or what is the box?
Heart-shaped box.
Heart-shaped box, or the Frankenstein. Is that the Frankenstein one? There's the Frankenstein one. He takes old stories and then he like puts a little twist on them. He makes them a little more modern and a little more attainable and cute. And that's why I was expecting a whole different thing from Lock and Key than what I got. One, it says "Welcome to Lovecraft," and so you already know, listeners, that I was there, but it's not that.
It's not. It's just the name of the town.
Yeah. They named the town Lovecraft, which I was like, okay, could have been Arkham. It's weird naming town Lovecraft, but I like the characters and I like not knowing what's going on. I love the keys. I love being like, what's this one do? Just being like excited about it.
Should we tell the people what the book is about?
Yes, that's a good idea. So people know. Lock and Key.
Written by Joe Hill and featuring artwork by Gabriel Rodriguez, Lock and Key tells of Key House, an unlikely New England mansion with fantastic doors that transform all who dare to walk through them, and home to a hate-filled and relentless creature that will not rest until it forces open the most terrible door of them all. Love.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding.
No.
It's not love.
It's not friendship.
It's friendship. So basically, these kids, this tragedy befalls this family, and they have to go back to their ancestral home. And only the children, really, of the family start to find these mystical keys that give them different abilities, gifts, and curses, we'll say. And it's so lovely, and the character work is so good. Joe Hill, this is one of the first things I read by him before I even realized he was Stephen King's son.
Yeah.
And then I went off and, I'm reading all the novels and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But, this is one of my maybe top 5 horror comics of all time.
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
Yeah. And I think it's like, it's horror and it's different and that's also what we find just in the horror genre with this podcast is like it's so different. Like within the genre, there's subgenres. Because like when you look at Lock and Key, it's so much different from something like Preacher, right? Like you're even just getting a whole new feeling from it. And with both of these, we have like these young people as our protagonists, and like the trick is that because of their youth, they can see things that other people can't see, and they can understand things. They have that like simplistic like view on life, which is always like a unique perspective. And it's not just like, let's be gory. Like there's really graphic and awful things that are happening, but it's like, it feels very purposeful. It's like motivated for the plot. Like it's not just like, here's some gratuitous violence and like gore. It's just like, oh my God, I'm affected when something terrible happens. Yeah. And it feels kind of realistic, even with the like fantastical things that are happening.
Now, have you read Nosferatu?
No.
By Joe Hill? So this thing that we're talking about where only children are privy to certain aspects of the world is also touched on in Nosferatu, NOS 4A2. You guys at home might notice, you might know it if you in the bookstore. The cover is a license plate, but it spells Nosferatu. And so they kind of take place in the same world, but also in the same world as Derry, Maine and It, which is another story where only the children seem to be privy to a thing.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's
That's
kind of
nice.
neat. I like that he kind of ties them all together a little bit.
Yeah, that's like in the realm of like the Frankenstein thing. Vampires and like the old stories redone, which is like interesting in that like horror started as those penny dreadfuls in those stories, and now we're seeing them remade in these really amazing artistic ways, and the art style is pretty cool too.
So we did it
it's
for book
digestible.
club here at the shop, and I like the art quite a deal, more than a lot of the people who were here. Some people noticed that Gabriel Rodriguez draws a lot of butt chins, a lot of cleft chins. Get past that and read the book. It's awesome.
Yeah.
And if you don't like the style, there's no doubt that Gabriel Rodriguez is talented and puts in the work. There's a ton of detail. Everything's there for you on the page to look at. It's not just like rushed through and sloppy. He's a real talent.
Absolutely. Yeah, and it's actually going to be a Netflix short series soon.
Hopefully.
Yeah. So
We'll see. They tried this maybe 10 years ago. They filmed the pilot, and then they released the trailer for the pilot, which is, you can find it on YouTube, and it's god awful. I was kind of glad that it wasn't picked up.
Yeah.
So hopefully this time they'll be done right.
Yeah, they're like really thinking about it for this year. So fingers crossed.
Yeah, feelings. Yeah, I said feelings. Let's talk about feelings. Okay. And all that spooky stuff. I love spooky stuff.
Okay, so if you like it, it's The Power of Empathy. Is that good?
I guess so, yeah. For it.
Okay.
If you like what?
If you like the genre of horror comics.
and the books,
okay.
it's our rating system. We also have some wacky. So
Cool.
if you like it, it's The Power of Empathy. And if you don't like it, then it's Consent First, Tentacles Later.
Because those are the two funny things we said.
Yeah. We've only had two.
I get it.
Yeah. So for the topic of horror comics as a whole, like how do you feel?
Oh, the first one you said.
Power of
The
Empathy.
Power of Empathy.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, of course I love horror comics. Again, it's not the same as movies. I don't get the same terror or anxiety that sometimes horror movies give me, that I have to like, sometimes I got to walk away and be like, all right, that's enough of that. But I would say more thrillers in comic books are effective for me
Absolutely.
than straight horror. Because whatever it is about comic books, like there's, like I said earlier about the soundtrack and stuff like that is missing. So it misses that real visceral reaction that I like to get from horror. But yeah, for thrillers, I would say, The Power of Empathy.
Yeah. How do you cat?
I would definitely say The Power of Empathy, but also I think a fun way to read it would also be just the thing you wanted to do, just do the thing.
Yeah.
I think that would be fun too.
Just do the thing.
But yeah, I liked it. It was fun. I enjoy looking at them more than reading them. That's just life, man.
Yeah.
Definitely a fan. Horror County, Harrow County, whatever. You know what I'm saying? That thing.
Yep.
I very much enjoy the artwork as well as just all the ideas. And then Lock and Key, even though I only saw like a little bit of it, I just really loved what you were saying in terms of like the kid perspective, where it's like the kid's head opens up and he's like, that's my head. Look, it's open now.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, like horrified by it. And he's just like, oh, look, that's the thing.
Yeah.
The key did this.
Yeah.
How fun that is.
You can only investigate like when you have the kid perspective in that way. Cause like you're not bogged down by like, this is terror. You're like, I am intrigued.
Yeah.
I'm curious. I'm a child.
I
and
can't
it's
help but notice that
curious.
your head's open. Let's talk about this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's up?
Why are heads?
I wish I had thought. I actually have a couple of the keys
No.
at home. They made replicas of
you
the
open
keys
your
that you
head
can
with
buy.
some?
I mean, sometimes.
Cool.
Sometimes you got to open your
Get
head.
in it.
So yeah, I actually have this one at home.
Oh, that's so cool.
But yeah, I've got the head key and the ghost key, I think. But
That's
anyway,
pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
meh.
Yeah, for me it is it's power of empathy, and or you want to do a thing, do it. Just go do the thing. Yeah, I love horror comics. I love horror wherever I can get it, and comics is just a fun way to do that and to escape to a new world and encounter new art as well. So you can kind of like experience a different way, because they're all like, you can get the same story and it can be told completely different if you change the aesthetic of the comic. So that's why you get some serious ones, and that's why you get some like, what?
Can I?
Yeah.
For things that weren't on that list, can I throw a couple out to the listeners?
Sure, yeah.
All right. So one came out last year. It's actually on NPR's Top 100 list, and it's called Infidel, and it's about a Muslim American woman who lives in a apartment complex that is haunted by ghosts fueled by xenophobia.
Oh.
That's a nice little one and done. I want to say it's 4 to 5 issues. You can find it in a nice little trade paperback at your local Johnny Destructo's Hero Complex or wherever comics are sold. And it's called Infidel. It's really good. If you're into like 80s slashers and things like Jason Voorhees and sort of the that sort of vibe where it's kind of like a little bit of cheesecake, a little bit of murder, there's a book called Hack Slash.
Yep.
And that is a long-running series by Tim Seeley, and it's about this Cassie Hack, who is this girl, and sort of like a punk rock outfit, and she's got a giant sidekick who's basically like a Jason Voorhees, like big mask, doesn't really speak. And what they do is they go around and they track down slashers and killers, and they kill them.
Nice.
Killers being just regular serial killers, but then slashers being the ones that you have to kill over and over again. Oh. And they actually tie into books like they'll dip into like Chucky from Child's Play and stuff like that, and a Reanimator, since you like Lovecraft, stuff like that. So those are some other good ones that weren't on that top 13 list that should definitely get some love.
Yeah, that reminds me of the social media movie we watched with like Dexter in it.
What was his name? What was it?
I don't know, but it was great.
The social media movie with Dexter.
No, I was saying there's like a social media movie where these two girls like murder to report on it.
I tried to watch that. I didn't get through it.
It was we enjoyed it.
Something
it was
Girls.
fun. Yeah, Tragedy Girls.
Tragedy Girls
meets Dexter.
Yeah.
Like if they were doing it for good reasons, and said, for our listeners, where can they find your information on you if they want to listen to your stuff or look at your stuff?
You can find us on Stitcher, on Apple, blah blah blah, all those things. You can find us at CULTPOP, Cult Pop Podcasts, and the shows are Spoiler Alert, Cannibal Horrorcast, and Gutter Talk. Also, you can come down to my shop, 4327 Main Street in Philadelphia. It's called Johnny Destructo's Hero Complex. I am Johnny Destructo, and this is my Hero Complex. So, if you want to tweet at me, you can find me at JD's Hero Complex.
Excellent. So, yeah, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Letting me scratch this itch of horror comics for so long.
Don't scratch too much. You'll get some tryptophobia going.
Yeah, no.
Holes.
No.
No? You want to talk about Junji Ito?
No, I don't want to lose my skin and then have it walk around and befriend a child. Just can't, can't win.
You need to keep your skin. That's your main goal every day.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, and don't get married.
Build your kids.
And if there's something out there that you want to do, why don't you just go and do the thing that you want to do, you dummy?
Yeah, unless it's getting married.
Because then they eat your kids.
Honey, we're getting a divorce.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Don't forget to check out us on social media. Okay, love you.
Bye.